Hello, this is Dana Gardner. I am a certified holistic nutrition consultant who specializes in helping exhausted, busy, yet determined women overcome their fatigue, their brain fog, and all their other health imbalances naturally and holistically. And I am the founder of the Energy Rejuvenation VIP experience for women who are just like, let's get things going and reverse this health issue, this energy issue, and get living a normal, high functioning, high performing, successfully healthy, long term lifestyle. So, today I want to talk a little bit about something that I'm seeing in my clients quite often, and that is the multiple different diagnoses that they are getting and what that's doing to them and their body. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about, do a little case study here today. So I had a client and she was feeling exhausted. She had aches and pains all throughout her body. She felt bloated and she was struggling to lose weight. Weight was a little bit of an issue for her. She had a lot of brain fog and she struggled a lot with mood swings, irritability, frustration, trying to stay calm in the face of stress. And really underlying all this, she really struggled with a happy, healthy, calm, resilient stress response. She had some digestive issues that at the time weren't really bothering her too much, but they were there and, they did cause some problems. But really what had happened is over time, she'd started to normalize a lot of these symptoms and then really just hone in on some of the more problematic ones, the ones that really were either embarrassing or impacting her life and her career on a massive scale. And so energy and brain fog and the aches and pains were big for her. So she was first told that she had some hormonal issues, and she started working with me to fix the energy problems. And taking a look at her hormonal imbalances, it was really obvious to me that she had a dysfunctional stress response. Her stress response was weak. It had taken a toll over the years. She had some past trauma in her life. She had a history of trauma and stress in her family. So anytime that our ancestors have dealt with a lot of stress and weren't properly taught how to strengthen that stress response and create that resiliency, well, there's a change in the DNA and that gets imprinted down future generations. This, in my mind, is one of the main reasons why so many kids these days are dealing with so many mood disorders and anxiety and these symptoms and health problems related to problems with how their body is reacting to stress. Yes, there's more pressure on them, but no one's teaching them how to deal with this properly. And they also have these imprinted stress factors from passed on from parents and grandparents and such. Anyway, back to this client. So we started working together and she began to feel really good. So about 3 months in, she was feeling amazing. She dropped, I think, 2 or 3 clothing sizes inadvertently, not really even trying. She was happier. She was dealing with her kids with more of that calm, peaceful, let it go mindset that she was looking for. She was thriving in her career. She was taking on more and more at work every day, and she was feeling great. But she decided to go look for a reason why she was dealing with all these aches and pains, and just some, muscle aches, but also joint problems. And so anyway, long story short, she ended up getting 3 different diagnoses for 3 different autoimmune diseases. And what happened was she decided to start following the autoimmune specialist's advice on what to eat and how to be and think and act and exercise and stuff. She started to return to her very first place of health when we first started working together. She regressed right back to day one. And over time, she actually regressed further. and things got worse, especially the mood and the anxiety and the weakened stress response. So, for me, unfortunately, I wasn't able to help her because she was so focused on the diagnoses and the treatments, even though they weren't working for her. Then another client, we were working together, and she was also diagnosed with some of these very same exact autoimmune disorders, and told to change up how she was eating and exercising and everything. Again, the same exact situation. Only this client was very much in tune with her feminine energetics. Something was in her heart, in her mind, in her intuition, telling her that, you know what, I don't think I should be changing much because I'm actually finally, for the first time in my life, feeling better. Yeah, sure, I have this diagnosis now, but does that really mean anything to me? And so looking at these two clients and working with so many different women, these autoimmune diseases that are getting diagnosed, that women are getting diagnosed with, so many of them are actually related to the underlying inflammation caused by an active Epstein Barr virus. Now, we can have a really obvious active Epstein Barr virus where it's like sinus infection all the time and swollen lymph nodes, just viral symptoms. Or we can have a chronically activated EBV or Epstein Barr virus that shows up in various different ways. Fatigue is usually one of the top problems, but not always. So when we're dealing with Epstein Barr, we have to be very cognizant of, do you have it? Have you been tested for it? And do your symptoms actually show that you are potentially, most likely, dealing with an Epstein Barr virus infection? Because 90 to 95% of the population has Epstein Barr, and most of the cases seem to be showing up in women. And when we do have an active Epstein Barr virus, whether it's on like that full, really obvious scale or more at a like low level, it's hard to correlate between like I have an active viral infection and that's what's causing all of these weird like brain fog and muscle aches and pains and digestive issues. It's hard to correlate that sometimes. But with Epstein Barr, when it is running rampant, when it is active in your body, it's taking over your immune system. So it's triggering your immune system to create the viral killing cells and compounds that it does. It hijacks a lot of those. At the same time, this in turn triggers your stress response, which means your adrenals and your nervous system are now like turned on into stress, fight or flight mode. That uses up a lot of nutrients. That creates that poor, weakened, non-resilient stress response. When your stress response is turned on, more inflammation is triggered to save the body. This turns off energy production. So for those of us with fatigue, that is the fatigue cycle. That's what's going on. But this Epstein Barr virus that's circulating around in you is also starting to, the worse it gets, or the more prominent and more hijacking it does of your cells, the more it starts to go after other cells in the body. So it is very tightly related to neuroinflammation. So anything related to the nerves, the nervous system, which can mean brain fog, aches and pains, joint pains, connective tissue issues. And it has a relationship with digestion, where it can impact how well our digestive system is working, how healthy our microbiome is, how inflamed or not the gut lining is, and whether or not that is contributing to more problems, more allergies and viral symptoms and inflammation and fatigue and stress response problems too. So some of these diagnoses that are happening that are not where we need to really take a look and wonder, is it actually that, or is it an Epstein Barr virus, especially if you started being diagnosed with more than one of these. So chronic fatigue syndrome is an autoimmune disease that is very tightly related to Epstein Barr. I think most of us know that by now. So if we get chronic fatigue syndrome as a diagnosis, we know that there's an Epstein Barr virus problem too. That's what we need to address. Well, not specifically the virus. We need to go deeper and really create a healthy body. That means it's able to get rid of the virus or put it into remission, as I call it. So we don't just kill off the virus. If you've got if you've got Epstein Barr virus, we don't just go after it and kill it. We need to really strengthen the immune system so that it's killing it off naturally, as well as getting rid of that toxic debris properly, and reducing inflammation and improving overall levels of oxidative stress, increasing antioxidants. And then we also need to take care of the stress response side of things too, because even if you do all this work on the immune system and ignore the stress response, that stress response, when it is weakened, non-resilient, and just out of whack, is going to keep triggering more inflammation, and that will weaken the immune system. Epstein Barr virus will reactivate, and then we're back in the same cycle. So we have to really go deeper than just simply killing it off with antivirals. That's just not going to work. But on the autoimmune side of things, when you're diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, we do really want to take a look at whether or not these are the actual root problems, or are they simply a side effect of this active Epstein Barr virus that is circulating in your body. And some of these really common confusing diagnoses are something called EDS. I cannot pronounce the whole thing, but EDS. POTS is another big one. That's a lot of women are being suddenly diagnosed with POTS. MS potentially could be related to Epstein-Barr, so that's something to take a look at. Celiac disease, maybe even type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis potentially, atherosclerosis, psoriasis, systemic lupus, Hashimoto's thyroiditis or hypothyroidism. Watch for that one especially, because often that's not actually the thing to address. We don't need to go after the thyroid itself. We need to go, there's way more underlying causes of why the thyroid is low. Guillain-Barré syndrome. Guillain-Barré syndrome is another one. Sjogren's, however you say that. Any type of connective tissue disease disorder. So that's like the EDS. That could be POTS too. There could be anything related if you have a connective tissue problem. A couple of other potential, not necessarily autoimmune, but diagnoses that we really do want to look into further and see if Epstein-Barr is at the heart of it are Crohn's disease, Lyme's disease, ulcerative colitis, Parkinson's disease. What else? H. pylori and SIBO, especially, and any type of inflammatory bowel disease. I would always go further and ask, do I have Epstein-Barr? And really look at that. Some others could include problems with the eyes, the genitals, the liver. So just be aware of this. This is all I wanted to let you know today, is that often if we're starting to get a bunch of different diagnoses because, and we're confused by it, we do need to really take a step back and say, okay, cool. Why? Why is this happening to me? Is this really the true problem? Or is it something else that's deeper, that has been ignored or neglected or just not being looked at? And with the case of Epstein-Barr and so many people having it in their bodies, just inherently, we have it in our bodies, it can get activated very easily. So just remember that. Always ask why. And the other problem that I just want to mention is that if you're doing something, a treatment, a natural, whatever it is, some type of solution, some type of treatment, hopefully it's natural because that's my philosophy, and it's working for you and you're feeling better, and someone comes along and says, hey, you have this disease, now change that all up. Listen to your intuition. Listen to what your body is saying. Does your body saying like, oh, that feels really good, I actually want to do that? Or is your body saying like, I'm questioning the validity in this because I'm already doing this solution and I feel really good. Because that intuitive guidance is so powerful, especially as women. Our bodies are designed to give us messages. We need to sit quietly and receive those messages and listen to them, not just like brush them off as like, no. But the doctor told me I need to do this new treatment, even though this is working. The more we switch up our treatments, our solutions, even natural solutions, the more often we switch things up and change things around, the longer it's going to take for us to heal, because we're not giving our body nearly enough time to take in the solution, whatever that is, if that's a type of diet, if that's supplements, if that's nervous system regulation work, whatever it is. We're not nearly giving our body enough time to actually like go through this little state of like, okay, I don't feel safe. You're changing things on me. I don't feel safe. And then, I'm actually feeling really good. Yeah, I'm getting what I need. I'm calming down. There's a little bit of a detox effect happening in this. There's some inflammation as that's happening. So it's like this, we go from like feeling really shitty to feeling like we're getting better, but there's these little spikes along the way and up and down. And then finally the body's just like, cool, that feels good. And it just feels easy for you. You'll just feel like a whole new woman. You'll feel liberated from your fatigue and your symptoms and whatever's going on, and it'll just feel easy. So that's the process that has to happen. So if you're in the middle of that and you've been like, I'm noticing some changes, even though some days are worse than others, that's normal. But that tells me you're generally on the right path to your end health outcome. So the more you switch up whatever it is you're doing to something else, each time you do that, you're sending yourself right back to that like stressed out stage. And then we have to go through the whole process again to get to feeling amazing and liberated and energized and radiant and, functioning and high performing and all these things that we want, right? Laser sharp focus and, get your mental clarity back and your recall. So avoid switching things up too often. And if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. No one's forcing you. You ultimately have the control over your body. If you're living with exhaustion, brain fog, confusing symptoms, and you're really not sure what's going on, and you do have Epstein Barr, or maybe you're just not sure if you have Epstein Barr, then the most important thing for you to do right now is to make sure you get really, really sharp clarity on your personal root cause of the symptoms. And everybody has 1 to 2 main root causes for all the symptoms. It's kind of how the body works, right? If something is out of whack down here, all of a sudden all these other little like offshoots of symptoms start to show up. And they may seem like they have nothing to do with each other. But when you work with someone that has a solid understanding of the body on that holistic, like total body, head to toe, all the symptoms, all the factors and triggers and influencers, then we can hone everything down to a simple root cause that you work on, and then it starts to rebalance everything. So this is where it's working with a holistic nutritionist like me is so much different than working with someone who's just symptom focused or fad diet focused or here's some supplements. Because what I want to make sure is that you have crystal clarity on what you need to focus on to make this a very simple, very streamlined, very easy, and quick recovery process. So if you're looking for that type of support, if you really want to dig into like, is it my Epstein Barr? Is it something else? Do I have Epstein Barr? What are my symptoms telling me? What is that clarity? Where do I even start? Where do I need to focus my limited time, energy, and finances in order to heal my entire body? Then I can help you get there with an energy nutrition gap analysis. We look into all of your symptoms. I look into helping you understand where your nutrient gaps are as well, because that is key to kickstarting this whole process. And then I will give you a personalized fully personalized success plan in order to help you work on that root cause. We're going to identify your root cause, and then I'm going to give you what to do to address the root cause to make this whole process so much simpler for you. So the link is in the description if you were interested, and you can always reach out to me for questions or anything.